So how do you start a tech company or a software company without, coding skills? Is it possible? It is, kind of. Okay, we can do it. So pretty much, whenever you have a software company idea, pretty much usually it means you want to start, let's say, a SaaS business, meaning software as a service business, or you want to create a tool, or you might want to create a WordPress theme or plugins or add-ons or Shopify add-ons and things like that, right? So how do you go about it? So the first thing is to come up with an idea. Now, I won't discuss too much at this time. You should have a good idea on what you want to create. Now, next up is you want to create something called documentation. Now, pretty much a real documentation might look a little complicated, right? Because pretty much documentation tells you what is that you're creating, and it also tells you, what should people see whenever they're using your software. That's pretty much the idea of a documentation. Now, do you have to be an expert on a documentation? Not really. So pretty much you probably have a documentation. So documentation is just type out what are you expecting out of a developer. Okay, let me show you that. So I'm going to show you the really easy way to do it. So for example, okay, so I'm going to go at the bottom pretty much. So pretty much I pretty much go ahead and just give somebody an example. I want something like this. I give example of my competitors. I tell people to add do this, do that. It's a Dropbox document that has like 1, 2, 3, 4. UI should look like this. So I'm pretty much giving out ideas, right? Typing up what should happen whenever people click on the login button. How should the payments work? Just pretty much put it into a document. Now, once you do have that, next up is to pretty much go ahead and hire somebody. Now, the way you do that is you can go to Upwork.com or freelancer.com. I recommend Upwork, but Freelancer is also pretty good, okay? Now, once you go ahead and post that documentation in, you're gonna start getting bids. Now, the first thing that I want you to do is number one is you need to pretty much have an interview. So pretty much don't hire the first or second or third person that you speak to. First, go ahead and have a conversation, right? And you should ask them, ask them to show some demos of softwares that they have built in the past. And, just go ahead and investigate more and make sure to check the reviews, right? Make sure they can do the job. Now, once you go ahead and figure out, okay, this is the person, you also want to do something called milestones. Pretty much milestones means that you want to break up the work in like 7 pieces and divide the money into 7 pieces. Never ever, I would not people are like, deposit 50%. Don't do that. You will get scammed, okay? Not always, but most likely, okay? Keep that in mind. Also, if you don't have a brown skin color, trust me, people are out there to get you, okay? I'll tell you that right now, because the software industry, programming industry is pretty much, it's with people that look something like me, right? Brown people from like, India, Pakistan, and there are people from other countries as well, but usually you will see brown people on Upwork and Freelancer offering you the best deals, and you do want to take those deals, but you also want to make sure that you negotiate your way. For example, let's say they say, okay, it's going to cost you 5K. Don't agree, okay? Haggle up and down, haggle. So pretty much if they say 5K, start off with like 2K. It doesn't hurt, okay? You can always go up. 2K is a low ball, but still, okay? It's always easy to go up, but you can't go back, right? It's hard. So for that reason, just do, if they say 5K, just drop like 50% off, then negotiate, okay? Then negotiate, because these people can get the job done for you, but they're expecting, like a US pay. And if you're hiring remotely, then, it doesn't make any difference. So keep that in mind. Or the other option is to find somebody here in the US or your country, which might be much expensive. For example, let's say I was building a WordPress plugin, right? Normally here in the US, it would cost me at least a couple grand, right? And if I hire somebody on Upwork, I'm gonna get the job done for $200. That's it. That's all I need. Now, keep in mind that you do have to sometimes even if it's cheap, then in that case, you Keep in mind that the work might not be as good. That's where your documentation comes in, to make sure you outline exactly what you want and how you want it. And make sure to check people's review and how did they perform. And ask to, if you're spending a lot of money, like 10, 15K plus, I would ask to speak to like a previous client or things like that. Okay, always make sure to check their work. Let's move on. So once you have started working with them, you're on the milestone, what you want to do is, for example, okay, this is one of my projects I'm working on, right? So let's say they're building the product, right? Your product. You want to go ahead and, just have a conversation on the documentation. They're going to say done. You're going to say there's a problem. You go back and forth on the documentation itself. And that's really, really useful, because you can always go back and check what was expected out of them, and did they do it? And did they do it correctly? Yeah, so that's the overview of how to start a software company without being so techy or a programmer. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it, okay? And do me a favor and just hit subscribe so I can bring you more videos like this. And we can have a one-on-one conversation on our next video. So I'll see you on the next video. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.